Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice bloody back of the head Wednesday morning over here. My head's been split up, but I'm slowly recovering, and there's plenty to talk about today as Bitcoin did play out the 4-hour signal that we were looking for yesterday. So I wanted to follow up on that, how that bleeds into the medium term timeframes and now the higher term timeframe setups that we've been kind of looking at over the last few days here. Anyways, other than that, Powell's going to be speaking today, so I do expect volatility around that time. And yeah, I think that's just about it. Oh yes, and also I'd like to once again aggressively show my Instagram. Been doing short Bitcoin updates there on the stories feature. Just really easy way to kind of get my thoughts out, especially in the early morning on a good old walk. And sometimes I do it late in the day if necessary as well, which today could very well be one of those days actually with Powell speaking later. Anyways, there's also content on there that's like not trading related, so it might not be for you. I'll let you make that decision for yourself, and the link is in the description below. Any other account other than that link is a scammer. It is not me, I can assure you of that, because I get questions about this every day. All right, sweet. So let's just jump into it right here. I want to follow up on the short term from yesterday. We were looking at the 1, 2, 3 drives of bullish divergence come off the low on CME on the 4-hour. That was driving the targets up somewhere around this blue box right here. We didn't, we got pretty fucking close in this case. 21.7 and change on the highs, and I had a low of that at about 21.8 or so. Close enough is close enough. Nope, fuck Krown. He got it wrong. He was $100 off, and he should die. And fair enough. Well, might already be dying. I mean, with this gash in the back of my head, it's like it's actually kind of concerning. Anyways, in the short-term timeframes right here, it should be known that yes, Bitcoin is starting to build or confirm that hidden bearish divergence that we identified yesterday, which goes back all the way to the highs that we saw from the 10th of January, or sorry, not January, June, which was like closer to 30,000 bucks. I think somewhere around about 29,000 bucks before the last big breakdown. Let alone the low $20,000 regions, which is where we're currently at right now. Let's see, Bitcoin's actually dancing around just exactly at that number, essentially. So with that in mind, it's not just here on the 4-hour, but this actually goes all the way up to a rather powerful time from the 12-hour right here, as we do have higher highs on RSI compared to the highs that we did see on the 15th of June, where Bitcoin was trading at about 22,200. Obviously, the rejection yesterday plus local high confirmed, it's going to be decently below that. So yeah, short-term downside pressures I think are once again on. But here's the thing, based off the higher term timeframes, which we'll get into in a bit here, I do think, or at least I certainly would not feel comfortable calling like massively new lows for Bitcoin. Can Bitcoin retest around the current lows? Yeah, absolutely. Low 19s, mid 18s, something like that, completely fine. But as far as like a new trending move to massively new lows, like 15,000, 16,000 bucks, I do think that that's going to be a little bit more difficult for reasons that we're going to go over in a second here. But as it stands right now, what would actually constitute a break? Or in the very short-term timeframes, what are we looking at right here? Well, we do see, maybe a bit of a short-term bounce. Bitcoin can very easily bounce up to the upper 20, just below 21,000 bucks. That wouldn't really do anything. I'm not calling for a bounce there. It's just, anything below there is completely irrelevant. I'd even go as far to say that as long as Bitcoin's below, especially like 21,500, everything that you're looking at is another lower high before playing out that hidden bearish divergences. On top of that, you'll very also likely notice on our stochastic momentum oscillators over here, short-term timeframes are once again turning down again here, as we do see a rejection right at the bullish control zone, and it will be remaining with downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below what? The exact number that we just stated before, 21,500, actually in change right there to be fair. 6-hour, I believe, is also going to turn down below about 20,200, which Bitcoin's currently below right now. And obviously, all lower term timeframes below the 4-hour are also angled down below about 21.4. So that 21.4 to 21.5 pivot, very big for the short term. As long as Bitcoin's below there, pressure remains to the downside. I stick with that hidden bearish divergence and looking for that to play out with a confirmed break below 20,200 essentially, and at that point, very likely retesting somewhere around our lows for CME, which is 19.5, and then we need to go to spot price actually kind of get a general guide as to where we're at right now. Hey, look at that, every once in a while those damn patterns actually play out crazy. But yeah, on spot price action, obviously it was trading over the weekend when CME was not, so it played out that major move down to 17.5 or so. So, if and when Bitcoin does break 20,200 or so, where do I kind of figure it will come down to? Maybe around about 19,000 bucks or so. But here's the thing. I do think it's going to be a little bit difficult. Now, I can very much be wrong about this, and we'll go over invalidations for this in a second. But I do think it's going to be a little bit difficult to get Bitcoin to trade towards massively new lows. That's simply due to the higher term time frame analysis that we've been postulating over here on this chart. So this is really important and really powerful. And again, I hope that I'm as abundantly fucking clear as possible with this. I think most people get this, but I do see a few comments about it here and there every once in a while. That this is at earliest going to happen late this week. Best case scenario is like late this week. What's maybe a little more likely is probably early next week. And it is this: the mean reversion bounce play, or in this case a bounce most likely, after the big volatility expansion play. So the big volatility expansion play was essentially what we were looking at on this chart over here for Aeons, of course. Is the one that I spoke about probably too much. And of course, it is just a very, very low volatility signal over here, which volatility measures the dispersion of returns, obviously, and going to extremes in terms of volatility plus stochastic momentum, also getting the correct direction for that volatility expansion. And we found a good relationship, historically speaking, for that setup. Now, there's a mean reversion play on the other side that I believe is going to be happening relatively soon. It's not I believe, it's like it's mathematically fucking programmed to happen. The question is, what direction do we get it in? And we'll go over that in a second as well. But basically what I'm talking about is this: after we get this extreme over here playing out to this extreme over here, you typically get a mean reversion play. Not always, but typically yes. And when we get to these extremes and then BBWP gets a negative slope and below the moving average, and then the moving average also gets a negative slope, that is the full-on confirmed signal for that high quality play, of which you can see in this particular instance over here, represented by the green vertical bar. We can see a nice upside move of about 16.5% done over the course of 12 days. I've gone ahead and done this for all of the past iterations. Over the past few years here, there's 11 of the prior ones, and we found that the average of these mean reversion plays was about 15.24%. Again, that is an average, so some of them were like close to 30, maybe even 40%, definitely outliers, and some of them were low, like below 10%. Average days taken from signal given was about 11.5, and stochastic momentum also got the correct direction 82% of the time. So the first reason, first and foremost, why I don't think that this is happening today, and why I've kind of been saying over the past few days, this is not the bounce that you're looking for. It's a tradable bounce, but it's not the bounce that you're looking for like the high quality, obvious play here. And it is because of this. Daily BBWP, as you can see, is still at 100 percentile for the new open that we just got. And further to that point, the moving average is not even at 100 percentile either. So we need to see first two things happen, which is going to take at least until Friday, like minimum, probably not even going to happen anyways. And then obviously CME is not trading over the weekend, so you have to wait until like Monday for the next one. But it would be this: you need to see the BBWP get below the moving average. So that would take at least one more day. And then you need to see the moving average also get a negative slope, which probably going to take more than one day. So that probably puts us into like early next week, just, for something that's more reasonable, statistically speaking. And then, once we start to see it, go somewhat sufficiently like that, that's when you probably get your mean reversion play, of which, as we did say, 82% of the time, the stochastic momentum also has gotten the correct direction on that move, which for right now, with the stochastic momentum like way the fuck down here in like super extremes, it really wouldn't take too much to get it to move to the upside, which would give it about an 82% historical chance to bounce to the upside. Again, probably at earliest happening next week. And you can see that the daily stochastic momentum oscillator will actually remain down. It'll literally remain down as long as Bitcoin's below 20,800. Here's another interesting thing about this as well, however, is that the daily stoch on CME is so fucking low here. Not that, it can't go lower. I mean, it can always go lower, bro, right? But we can see in the history of Bitcoin for CME, there's really only been 1, 2, 3, 4 times in the past where we've actually even seen it this low. I'll even mark off some of these more early ones. Now, this is not in any way, shape, or form a macro low call, as you're going to be seeing, but, probably a balanced call to be fair. Sometime, last week of June, early July, something like that. But yeah, you can see this one over here. This one failed. It was still a pretty nice bounce though, off the lows, something like this. Yeah, it was about 24%, not bad. This one over here, also failed ultimately in a bear market, 26.5%, not bad. This one over here, we, again, another phenomenal bounce, but ultimately failed, 50%, fucking 50% bounce, insane. And then, I don't know, I think we had like another one more recently. Yeah, that was, we had this one over here in November 2019, again, another failed bounce, but did get a nice move. And then, where's the one that was like most recent? Okay, there it is. It was like way back on over here. Again, another failed bounce. It was about 11, or let me actually double check on this one. Yeah, about 11, 12% to the upside. Did end up failing, however. All right, cool. Or maybe not so cool if you're like super bullishly enthusiastic right now. But yeah, so what does this likely look like? Maybe Bitcoin trades a little bit sideways here, maybe drops a little bit lower, plays out something similar to what we saw over the weekend for spot price action. At that point, probably looking for like the actual bounce. And that probably happens over the course of, a little over 11 days. And if we get the Stoke actually turning up as well, which won't be happening again, as long as Bitcoin's below 28,800, at least for today, then, probably not even worth really talking about. But the move, I would expect actually to be on the upper end of that average. So probably at least 30%, to be quite frank with you. Maybe even a little bit more than that, based off of one, the stochastic level, and then two, the average mean reversion bounces that we have seen in the past. So depending upon where Bitcoin actually initiates that from is going to completely change the target. If it were to happen from here, which probably not, but if it were to happen from here, let's just see, like, what would 25% look like? 25,500, not bad. 30% puts you at the gap fill from that last major gap down in 10th of June. But that's if we started from here. Like, what if we go down to, 18.5 or somewhere around where Bitcoin spot went over the weekend? Well, 25% there just puts you back up towards 23, basically your range highs, which is not that impressive. What if it's like more like 30%? Not that much higher, about 24,000 or so. So, do keep an eye on that, as that's massively going to govern at least my sort of look as to where things are likely to land. As we come into probably like next week. Until then, short term, downside. The signal that we were looking at yesterday has come to fruition now. Both of them, actually, the very, very short term, and now the medium term time frame signals are starting to play out. So I'm looking for this one to come back down, and then we'll see what happens when Powell speaks a little bit later today. Other than that, I will probably do an Instagram update if it makes sense. If not, then not. But I expect that today's gonna be a little bit of fun. So with that said, I want to be wishing you well yet again. Take care and see you hopefully soon.